30 seconds left. 35 seconds.
You have like an atomic clock.
Oh, he's got his thing. Everybody here, we're all about to get fired from Twitter. I've been here 9 years and 9 months now. Same with you.
Right.
How long were you here?
4 years.
4 years?
2 months.
9 years and a month.
Oh, were you not with him?
No, he was after. Wait.
Cheers.
Oh,
10 seconds.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Yay! Hooray! That's a lot of pomp and circumstance.
All right, let's go see our badges.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's try the badges.
So as you saw, those are some former employees of Twitter as they were talking about, their years of experience. And I think it's tough to recover all that experience working in an organization. Now, if you're interested in business management, also too, if you just want to learn about these kind of things, I think this will be a great opportunity. We're going to go through what's going on Twitter right now. Also too, some comments from the community, which I think is wonderful. We're building up a really great collection of people that have a lot of knowledge, and that's why we do these things. So let's start with this. Just a quick bit of breaking news. Elon just finished a survey of should we reinstate Trump or not. They're going with yes. I guess the votes are. I voted no. You can see that. It was 51.8, 48.2. And then Elon was also tweeting out, I had to look it up because I didn't know what it was. It was Vox Populi, Vox Dei. So it's like the word for population or populace, and also D for deity. These are Latin, or Dei for deity, I should say. But it stands for the voice of the people is the voice of God. So basically, I guess we're going to have Trump come back. Some people were sort of calling out Elon saying, wait, I thought you said we were going to have a council on deciding these kind of things. So who knows? I have one very simple thought on this, and I just want to share with you because I think it's a really simple argument to make. If I have a party and it's a pool party and I give free drinks to everybody and there's no admissions fee, I'm going to have a lot of people come to my party, right? But how long is that party sustainable? Because it's very expensive to throw a pool party, right? You got to have the music, the DJs, the drinks, etc. And I think Twitter is kind of the same thing. So yes, if I have everyone on there for free, host the servers, let everyone, just do whatever they like, have Trump on, it'll be a media show, everyone's going to have fun watching it. However, there's no one paying for it, and you need advertisers to pay for your product, essentially, right? In order to have Twitter, you got to have advertisers that are willing to essentially pay you money because they want to advertise. And I think Trump will probably chase a lot of advertisers away. Now, if they can make it work over Twitter, go for it. But my opinion, I think it'll be tough because, like I said, I think advertisers will be running away, and the pool party will eventually end because you ran out of money. That's my initial thoughts on that. And if you guys disagree, no problem. But I just want to say that's my opinion. I think that's pretty fair. And the reason why I try to keep things fair as possible because, when you're making business decisions, you try to put your own biases aside and say, okay, this is the numbers, this is the situation that we're in. How can we make money? And that's sort of one thing I try to focus on and get you guys to think your mind oriented to. I'm open to any ideas, any solutions, but the proof is in the pudding, as they say. Can we make money? Now, actually, what's interesting is Musk is considering firing more people, and this time, believe it or not, in the sales area, which I find really interesting. I just didn't expect. Who knows what to expect from this, right? We'll read the details. Elon Musk considering firing more Twitter Inc. employees as soon as Monday, this time targeting the sales and partnership side of the business after mass resignations among engineers on Thursday, according to people familiar with the matter. So you're losing a lot of engineers that are basically keeping your platform alive, and then now you're considering firing your salespeople who are bringing money to keep your organization going. So I don't know what's going on over there. I really don't. I can't give a straight face. It's just a crap show. Musk had offered Twitter employees an ultimatum: either stay on or work long hours in a more, quote, hardcore version of Twitter, or leave with severance pay. More employees in technical roles opted to leave than expected. That's the big line, right? So they didn't expect this many technical people to leave compared to those in sales and partnerships in similar roles, said the people. So who declined to name? So basically it sounds like so many engineers left, and then like, I don't know. I guess they're saying we have too many sales compared to engineers. You need a different ratio. I guess that's fair. But it just shows that this was unplanned. So anyone who is defending Musk and these kind of things. You can't defend this kind of stuff, meaning that, the facts are, it looks like more technical people left than they had expected. And then Musk went on, you can see this. Musk asked leaders in those organizations to agree to fire more employees. We're talking about sales and partnerships again. Robin Wheeler, who ran marketing and sales, refused to do so. And then Maggie Suniwick, who ran partnerships, looks like she also refused to do so, I believe. And then both lost their jobs as a result. The other thing is we've been on Twitter Crash Watch. And it's interesting because I think a lot of people are overlooking the possibilities that, yes, maybe Twitter and USA might survive, but there's already been some reports in, say, Singapore, India, Brazil, Mexico, Pakistan, South Africa, just for example, that they may be slowing down and you may have to have less staff. They were talking about like the Twitter people in Africa that have been mostly fired. I was reading about that. So the other issue as well is you may have more like, not necessarily like crash like in one day kind of thing, but just slowly degrading over time because servers do require maintenance. Now, one thing I thought was really interesting, Musk tweeted out actually sort of a whiteboard of what they're working on. So if you guys want to pause this video, if you work in tech, if you're an engineer and you have some thoughts about this, I'd love to just pause the video and take a look at this and leave some comments about what you think about their plan. And this is sort of a late night meeting that Musk had with the remaining engineers over where to go from here. And I just think it's really interesting. And you take a look at who's left. There's I think there's roughly, I want to say, we've heard that it's about less than 25% of the employees. So this is just the engineering side of it. And also too, you can get another look of it from the kind of the office, how it looks. So it's interesting how Twitter, I didn't realize it would be like this. I don't know. I guess I pictured it somewhere like something else, maybe more cubicles. But I guess this is all essentially an open office kind of design. Now, thoughts from the community I want to share with you guys, because I think we got a really smart people in the community, and we'll go through some of these things and sort of see what people are thinking. And I asked the question last video, what were you guys' thoughts on who are the employees that Twitter needs to keep, and what does it take to run a company like this? And people have a lot of different opinions. So let's take a look at one. This is from Wenhan. I work as a cloud admin, and in my branch office do occasional help desk work. We've got like 15 people who work there, so I'm usually fine helping our users with some basic hardware stuff. Writing scripts to scale across distributed systems with on-premise servers as well as the cloud takes a lot of manpower. You need QA testers, right, quality assurance people, legal across numerous regions, right, and we talked about this different countries, people skilled in GDPR, is basically your data stuff. This also includes cloud admins due to need to segregate data, and contractors who need to look absolutely vile things, including suspected CSAM, terrorist threats, etc. Plus, you need machine learning researchers, app developers. Then you need various product managers who can study what is working, what is not working to implement improvements. A social networking company needs to understand sociology, psychology, which also requires to bring in designers, sociologists, and other people who help tackle human side of the app. Oh, and you need recruiters, office managers, numerous accountants. Probably need the host of other positions I'm not even considering. Yeah, the recruiters is actually a big one right now for Twitter. 100% you need these kind of people. And also too, which I think is important, yes, you can have a whole bunch of engineers that we showed in the picture, but you got to need people who would manage said engineers and get people organized and working in the right direction. Some of the people will push back. Probably they don't understand why would you need sociology and psychology. You kind of want to understand your users, right? You want to make your users happy, and you want to keep them engaged, these kind of things, and that's something that you want to understand what's going on. Prepare reports about it, be able to look at that kind of data. It's different than engineering who just look at, say, getting the code to work and this stuff. You want to look at like how is users' interactions, these kind of things. So I think you bring up a lot of good points. Just want to share this with you guys, and happy people agree or disagree. But we're talking about what does it take to keep Twitter running. Here's another one. This is Nightcoder 3493. I think Elon is doing illegal to a certain extent in California, firing a bunch of people. Twitter may get sued. The Department of Labor is seeking keeping an eye on Twitter's actions, according to some YouTube videos. Being a developer for decades, I've seen it all. I'm right there with you. I'm pushing 50, so I've seen it all too. I think there'll be some hardcore programmers, so-called nerds without much social life, stay and take abuse. Some will hang around to see how things while looking for another job. So I think that is a real thing where people kind of know they want to get there out the door, but they haven't found something else yet. So I can totally see that. As soon as they find a new job, they'll jump ship. Twitter will identify the important programmers and give them a raise plus bonus with contract they hope to stay. Now, Elon originally said that we're not going to give anyone any more money. We just want you to get excited about staying. So I'm not sure if they're going to give raises. I mean, many people have mentioned that they probably need to, but I was just saying that at this point, it didn't seem like they were. Those who left and find another job may try to recruit their Twitter and teammates. See, this is the kind of stuff you guys learn, guys. This is how the world works. And especially for younger people, pay attention to what these older people say. They've been in this business, he said, a few decades. And, you know, people who have gray hair, although I do have gray hair, you don't see it though, but yeah, people will recruit their friends. And I've told you guys many times on this channel, be nice to your coworkers, be a good worker, be a pleasant person. When people leave to go to other companies, that will present you with opportunities. Your best opportunities in life will be through your network from people you know. It won't be just replying on the internet from some faceless nameless thing. It won't be like that. It'll be people that you know. So yes, that's a good point. People now, since all these Twitter people left, people are like, yo, grass is greener over here. You got to come over here. So I think that's a real thing. Software engineers are in high demand at this time. If you're a decent programmer, you should be able to find a new job that you enjoy with a great work-life balance. And the work-life balance thing is a very real thing, especially post-pandemic. Everyone reevaluated sort of what they want out of life or work, you could say, but work-life balance. And I think this matters much more to people. And other people mentioned in the comments as well is that Elon comes from a different era, right? He's a little bit older than me actually, but just from a different era opposed to young people today don't want to work, 100 hours a week for the .com era kind of, everyone's gonna get rich, etc. I mean, you're coming into a late stage company, even though yes, quote Twitter 2.0, but I think people do want a work-life balance today. So thanks for these points tonight, Coder. See what else we got here. Jim Marxist says, I'm not a Twitter user, but I'm sure it's no different than any other company. 20% of the staff do 80% of the work. Twitter doesn't seem like a complex problem until you start trying to solve the complex problems Musk seems to want to solve, which is a bot. So that's an interesting point, Mark. I get it. I'm not disagreeing. I've heard that many times in your organization, right? We only really need to keep 20% of you and the other 80% or whatever, but 20% of you do most of the work, essentially what we're saying. Though we're gonna see. I think the main problem, my argument pushback on that would be just, even if that were true, there's just the way the mass firings have gone. They're not necessarily keeping the right people. There was something. There came a report like they fired the badge people, so like you couldn't even figure out how to get like the badge, I mean the entry badges and stuff, like security badge I should say, to even get back in the building. So even though that might be true, the way they're doing it appears to be pretty chaotic. Here's Morphle saying, if he only thought about doing these interviews, and this is sort of the interviews we talked about yesterday, where you had to show them screenshots of your code to keep your job. If only about doing these things before interviews before firing half the staff and then issues an ultimatum. He lost so much institutional knowledge at this point that he might as well start from scratch, right? Could have done so with a lot less than 44 billion. Guy isn't even a software engineer and thinks looking at screenshots will tell him anything. So the point is, and the reason why I show you guys that first video, when you fire people who've been there for years, you're losing staff that know how the system works, know how people operate. And no kind of problems. Like you're losing experience. Experience matters a lot. It really does. And I know younger people don't. Younger people tend to discount experience, but the older you get, you'll be like, "Yep, young experience matters." Just think of it this way: is remember the first time that you had a boyfriend or girlfriend, and you end up breaking up, and you go to your next relationship, and you're like, "Okay, I'm not going to make those mistakes again." And the more mistakes you make, the more mistakes you try to avoid. That's essentially life. Experience matters quite a bit, guys. Here's another one. Island Man writes, Elon comes from a time when rockstar developers were prevalent and where comments were often large chunks of one or more features. We're talking about you had to show screenshots of your code that was committed to I can't remember, the bigger source, I guess how you would say, or the stack. I think that's the word you guys use. And so, he was saying Elon comes from a different era where everyone wanted to go work with, quote, rockstar developers, right? In today's world, explaining what your commit achieves, parentheses, if comments are done properly, isn't necessarily very useful. It just shows how immature and inexperienced he is when it comes to software development. He also equates overtime with efficiency, it seems. It's not sustainable and long-term detrimental to both the employee and the company. Very naive and quite frankly insulting. The scope of the comment differs between orgs. Okay, thank you for that, Island. It's really great. I just think people need to hear these kind of opinions. This is John. John T776 is writing in. This is a longer one, but it's all very useful, guys. That's why I'm looking through all of it. I've been a dev and managed dev teams systems. Here is my take from the holistic point of view of maintaining a system/tool, etc. I honestly think as Musk is saying these things on Twitter about show me your lines of code, etc., is for the most part clickbait. Actually, John, that was an internal email that we shared, but we'll keep going. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that was an email that we looked at, actually, that he sent out to all the employees. People love the negative and absurd. It's part of our negativity bias as what shows makes Twitter shoot up. You already have a bunch of devs here telling you can't judge how well a coder is based on lines of code, etc. 100% correct, but that's the thing. He's getting people to react and riled up. Okay, so John, you're not wrong anything so far, other than this was an email that we're focusing on, not a Twitter, but it's fine. Your opinion still matters. It doesn't change it that much, actually, to be honest. Maybe he's doing it for megalomaniac reasons. Good press, bad press. They are clicking on me. Managing code infrastructure lifecycle is no different than Tesla or SpaceX, okay? It's just on a different scales and complexities, but the challenges are the same types. I'm sure he finds some amusement in riling up people thinking that you are dumb and how you can judge someone on lines of code. And don't forget, you have 5 minutes. So as in any industry, you have people that can BS their way through or have an excellent technical skills, but can't sell themselves worth crap. That takes longer than 5 minutes, but Elon knows that. He's just riling up people and we are talking. Okay, fair enough. Do I think Elon Musk is going to read your code? No. What he actually probably judging is when you get there, justify your existence, and code screenshot summary is just the first pass to actually even do work when what was your cadence. Okay, fair enough. Same problem in every industry is productivity. You have some really slow developers and guys that can chug out crap fast and clean or full of bugs. That's fair enough, right? And John, it's a good point, right? I think I want guys to emphasize that managing people, hiring people is really quite complex. You're judging someone's character. You're also judging someone's work. You need both. And you're also judging whether someone fits in the culture of your community. So, and I know John's experience. You know this stuff, John. But let's take a look at more. What we have to say. Also, as some other posters have said, Twitter isn't going down anytime soon, if ever. It's sitting on a stable base of code, okay, that is decades old online and version is stored in GitHub, etc. I assume here and there code freeze, no commits are happening in case it breaks or something. Given I assume there isn't enough QA for whatever release they were planning. If anything, the next version release will be less planned enhancements / bugs fixes. And John continues to add this fact, the fact that Twitter was able to get let go half of their staff and not go down in crash burning mess, whether it's GA, general admin, HR, legal, app team, infrastructure, etc. Probably says a lot more how some companies, non-tech included, are top management heavy. That's interesting, John. It's an interesting point. You could say a lot of companies have too much fat. You could certainly make that case. And in fact, this is something that many young people do complain about. Is that you feel like, and this is, you guys know this, anytime you work at a big company, you'll know it. You go into a company and you meet these people who've been there for years, and you can't fire these people. It's really hard to fire people who've been there at a company for years. It's just kind of a cultural thing. They have all the experience, and they may not be as productive as the young people who are asked to shoulder much more of the work. So you got to prove yourself to get to that point to where you can be kind of a lazy person. It's another way to put it. It's funny. And people who look at large companies, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one. Too many employees, not enough people doing the work. Anyone who's worked at big companies have seen some of the BS that goes on. A senior title having one direct report that has one direct report, and that person happens to be an engineer dev who is the only one who actually putting out the work. That's really funny. I get it, John. I get it. He's saying, you have one person doing the work and everyone's just like reporting to each other, and it's funny. I suspect Twitter had that issue, and before anyone says you're against management, I'm in management, but sometimes needs to be called out, okay? When there's ones that aren't doing the work, whether it's management and dev, it creates a toxic environment and culture for the ones that put in quality work. We've all been there. Yes, John, I agree. It's very frustrating if you feel like you're doing all the work in your team and everyone else is sitting around, and I'm sure we've all had that experience and know what it's like to, what's the right word, free loafer? That's right, no one likes free loafers. Here's another one. Sierra and Irvine. I've been a developer 30 years, and it's painfully obvious that Musk hasn't got a single clue about how professional software development works, okay? First he fired half the team based on how many lines of code they had committed. Any developer will tell you this is completely insane. Your best developers will often remove huge wads of crappy, buggy old code with something much cleaner and shorter. And I think that's a really interesting point to where, like, if you're measuring someone's work based on how much code they made, it's not really great, because in fact, you would actually want simple code, less code that actually works, opposed to convoluted code, right? So more code doesn't mean better. And I think that's a really good point. You're better off with the simple that works, if you can get it to work, or straightforward that works. That's probably a better way to say it. Your best developers will often remove huge, wodgy, bugsy, crappical code, something much cleaner and shorter. Now he wants screenshots of your best lines of code. LOL. Yeah, that's not any of this works either. You can't tell much, if anything, from a screenshot of code, other than if it's properly formatted and structured, which should be a gimme for anyone working at a company like Twitter. Fair enough. And it reveals that he has some weird notion that Twitter programmers will have this one shiny line of genius code they can showcase. That's not how it works. And professionals despise showboater devs. I thought this was really interesting. In fact, professionals despise showboater devs who try to come up with some arcane, convoluted way of doing things. Code needs to be maintained for years. It needs to be simple to understand and follow. It is very rare that a professional working in industrial code base would have little bits of genius magic scattered throughout. A good code written by good professional devs for production systems is supposed to be as straightforward and boring as possible. So I think that's a great description of code. Essentially, when you write something, you want it to work, and you want people to be able to see like kind of what it does. And then when people need to fix it or make changes or stuff like that, you're not like digging through like, I don't know, what this is. I don't know where this is routing to this, etc. I think that's a really, really good description of this, and I appreciate that, Sarana. And then now we have another one here too. SwimGirl24. As someone who's worked in tech for almost 10 years, I don't think Twitter will go down immediately or turn off overnight. Twitter will definitely be more buggy now that we have so many people who have left, and those bugs quite possibly could build into major outages. But even worse case, where the site goes down for a week or more, I don't think it'd go down forever. I think government regulation is much more likely an end. And this is actually an interesting point. Elon just needs to hit with enough fines or lawsuits from his terrible business decisions to be pushed off the financial deep end. He clearly doesn't care if he breaks U.S. or international law, and regulatory injuries are starting to circle. Personally, bankruptcy seems like a much more likely end to Twitter than system failure. So I wanted to go through all these because I just think it's great, and I just want to demonstrate like this is how you learn about the world, right? You try to gather facts, you get people who have educated opinions on said facts, and then you start to like, okay, what's the best way to solve these things? And one of the things I recommend to anyone out there in the world, if you want to become a good manager, if you want to become a good leader, is learn to listen. Listening is an extremely important skill, right? Listen to what someone has to say. You may not necessarily agree with everyone, but hear them out. And that's what I try my best to do when I read through all these things and stuff like that. The stuff I don't tolerate, and this is just reality. I don't tolerate people who just make up a bunch of stuff, right? I try to focus on facts and try to focus on reasonable options to give ourselves. Now, what I mean by make yourself up something I just don't like. What if someone's like, oh, I don't care about Elon. He just bought Ford and now he's firing people at Ford. And I'm just like, oh, wait, what are we talking about? We're not even talking about Ford. We're talking about Twitter, right? So that's one thing I'd really focus you guys on a lot. Also, too, for management is to always circle back to the facts, and also to try to figure out what our common goals are. So if I were coming in to try to fix Twitter, my goals would be, okay, we got to get rid of the bots. So who do we need who can like handle the bots, right? And I come in and say, okay, we got to make sure we keep ad revenue going, otherwise we don't have a company anymore. Next thing that I'm probably thinking of, okay, who do I need in the company that say has been a veteran for a long time that will help with the sort of company culture that holds this cohesive organization there. This is something that can't be overstated enough. It's not just about job function. You also need job culture or company culture to where people are excited to go to work. They're happy. Sometimes, for example, and I know John T earlier was saying that we don't need managers, or we don't need so many managers. I don't necessarily disagree with that, but don't ever play down the importance of someone managing. So oftentimes a young worker, when you go to a company, you're sitting in your old little cubicle essentially doing your own job, and you don't necessarily have a bigger picture of the whole process of what's going on. Whereas someone who's like the manager, producer, however you want to call it, the person on top, it has a kind of a view of all, say, 5 teams working together and kind of give a larger picture of how these pieces fit. So I know how people get frustrated in your own, sort of position, but, and say the producer says, hey, I need this by a certain time, or you need to do this again, etc. The people at the top will have a different point of view of how everything fits together. And so that's why you need these kind of things, because you essentially want people who specialize to get things to work. So you can essentially focus your mind on one particular thing. And that's something that also too, if you want to get to the higher levels of say, be a CEO or something like that, you have to have a real good knowledge of what everyone does. And you don't have to be an expert at what everyone does, but you have to have good knowledge of it so you can communicate to a lot of people. So that's why, like, for me, it's always a great learning experience to hear what everyone does, everyone's specialty and stuff like that, and try to convey that to you guys, and also learn to communicate with a variety of different types of people and address their concerns. So hopefully this is all helpful for you. This is a great sort of mini course in learning about management. So thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.